All right, everybody, let's win. It's the quarterback position, Week 15 playoff time. Starts, sits, and touchdown predictions going game by game. Let's just start with the Jets and the Ravens. Sam Darnold for me is a sit. I don't like the offensive line. I don't like the matchup for the New York Jets against the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's a start every week. I think he gets into the end zone at least 2 times and certainly gets you ground yards. Buffalo versus Pittsburgh. I'm a sit on Josh Allen. We saw what he did against the blitz last week against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh will be bringing that blitz. Now, I do think Buffalo will have some success in this game. However, I think Josh Allen is going to have tough sledding against that pass rush. He's going to be throwing under duress. Don't love it. I think you can find better value out there in the waiver wire if you need a quarterback. Devlin Hodges I like even less than Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen throws for 1 touchdown. I think Devlin throws for 0. Next game, Chicago versus Green Bay. This to me looks like it could be a defensive game. I have Trubisky graded as a sit. He's been up and down this season. Now he has been tracking up as of late. He's been using his legs a little bit more. He's been hitting Anthony Miller a little bit more, and of course Allen Robinson, Tariq Cohen, all those guys. But I'm a sit this week on Trubisky. Green Bay, I'm a sit on Aaron Rodgers. Chicago and Green Bay as of late have been playing very close, low-scoring games. They're pretty dialed into what the other wants to do. Now, I think this is going to be more of a running game for Green Bay. I don't think this is going to be a complete replication of what we saw in the opening game of the season, but I do think there will be some challenges for Green Bay, so I think you can find better value out there. Next game on the list, we have Denver versus Kansas City. Drew Lock, great story. I have him as a sit. Do you really want your playoff your playoff fate to be decided by a rookie quarterback in his third start? I don't like it. I think Kansas City's defense has been playing well. I think Drew Lock throws for 1 touchdown. That's it. Patrick Mahomes, actually, because I like Denver's defense and my fantasy football analytics like Denver's defense, they have Patrick Mahomes graded as a sit. I know he's got that hand issue. Let me say that. I am overriding that decision by my fantasy football analytics. I think Mahomes will throw for at least 2 touchdowns. And look, you drafted Mahomes to be a star. You drafted him for this position. I don't care what the matchup is. I would have played him against New England last week. I play him against Denver this week, and you just ride or die with that early draft pick there. Unless you have like a really excellent, maybe you hit a home run. And you got Mahomes and Lamar Jackson on your team or something like that. If you have another home run quarterback, maybe this is the week you make that switch. But all things being equal, you start Mahomes. By the way, I don't think I mentioned Aaron Rodgers. I have him as a 1 touchdown pass. Mitch Trubisky, I have him as a 1 touchdown pass. So there you go. Houston versus Tennessee. I like both quarterbacks in this matchup. I think Deshaun Watson throws for 3 touchdown passes. That is contingent on Will Fuller playing. If Will Fuller doesn't play, I have him throwing 2 touchdown passes. Tennessee, I have Ryan Tannehill throwing for 2 touchdowns. I think both are definite starts and good starts this week. Tannehill, you can still get him off of waivers if you need a stream. Next game, Miami versus the New York Giants. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a sit for me, although he's kind of a fringe start. I think you can do better elsewhere. The New York Giants, if Eli Manning plays, I like him a lot more than I would like if Daniel Jones played. Miami's defense gives up like over 30 points a game, or maybe just around 30 points now. New York Giants, they have good receivers, and they might get Evan Ingram back this week. So a decent matchup. Again, if you're looking for a waiver plug-in, oh my gosh, I hope you can do better than Eli Manning out there, but he is projected well. Next game, New England versus Cincinnati. I have Tom Brady as a fringe start. I have Andy Dalton as a definite sit. I don't like the matchup. I have Andy Dalton throwing for maybe 0 touchdowns. New England, I have Tom Brady throwing for 2 touchdowns. By the way, just to clean this up, Miami, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I have him throwing for 1 touchdown and getting you some rushing yards. And Eli Manning, if he plays, I have him throwing for 2 touchdowns easily. Next game, we have Philadelphia versus Washington. I have both quarterbacks graded as sits this week. Now, you might not have any better options than Carson Wentz, although I would say I would start Ryan Tannehill this week off of waivers over Carson Wentz. Alshon Jeffrey out for the year. Nelson Aguilar continues to be banged up. Basically, the wide receiver core, it's 2 tight ends in Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz catching passes. You have Miles Sanders out of the backfield, maybe Boston Scott. Jordan Howard might be back this week, but you're down to Arcega-Whiteside and Ward getting some snaps there. I do think Philadelphia scores. I think it's a lower scoring game. I'm staying away. Next game, Seattle versus Detroit. Russell Wilson is a definite start, throws for 2 touchdowns. Carolina, I'm staying away for Kyle Allen, throws for only 1 touchdown. Next game, Tampa Bay versus Detroit. Jameis Winston, look, he'll get you 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this week. No. I think Jameis Winston is a start if you have him. Detroit, that's a nice matchup for Tampa's offense. Now, I know Mike Evans is out, and there has to be an answer. There's been a lot of chatter. Is it Brashad Perriman? Is it Scotty Miller? Is it another, one of these less heralded wide receivers? I think that you're going to get a healthy dose of Godwin, and I think you'll get a healthy dose of O.J. Howard as well. I think Howard makes an appearance. I think Cameron Brate will be used a little bit more to help fill in, give Jameis Winston another bigger target downfield. So I think the tight ends will be used more than they traditionally have been in this Arizona offense, or this Tampa Bay offense, I should say. Jameis Winston is a start. I think he throws for 3 touchdowns. Now, Detroit, David Bluff, I don't know. I have him graded well, but that's a Matt Stafford grade to me more than it is Detroit. So I'm staying away. If you're a daily fantasy player, I have Detroit throwing for 2 to 3 touchdowns against this Tampa Bay defense. But, I wouldn't hinge my fantasy football playoffs on that decision at all. Cleveland versus Arizona. Baker Mayfield I have as a start, kind of a bottom line starter. However, Jarvis Landry's questionable. You have Odell Beckham questionable. We heard about his injury stuff going on. You have David Njoku is questionable. So there's a lot of questions there. I don't love that matchup, though. Baker Mayfield I have throwing for 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray I have as a sit. Cleveland has quietly gravitated towards being a more defensive team. So Arizona, I don't love the matchup for them, and I know that the Arizona wide receivers are banged up as well. Next game, Jacksonville versus Oakland. I have Gardner Minshew as a start, throwing for 2 touchdowns, possibly 3, against the porous Oakland secondary. So look, Oakland's banged up. They've been banged up. I hope that this Oakland team doesn't quit, but it's a nice matchup. Keep in mind, though, that DJ Chark is questionable, and that could be, I don't think he's even going to be practicing by Thursday, so that's very, very questionable at this point. Oakland, I have Derek Carr graded as a sit. I don't think this is a great matchup for them. And, Josh Jacobs being on the injury list, limited in practice, that's concerning as well. Carr needs Jacobs to open things up for him in the passing game. Atlanta versus San Francisco. I have Matt Ryan graded as a fringe start. I have Jimmy Garoppolo graded as a definite start. Matt Ryan throwing for about 1.5 to 2 touchdowns. Jimmy Garoppolo safely getting 2 touchdowns. I think they're both starts there. Let's see, the Rams versus Dallas. I don't love Jared Goff this week, but with the re-emphasis on making Todd Gurley a focal point in this offense, I like Jared Goff more. I think the projection is using a lot of in-season data, and I think this offense is finally transforming to what we thought it would, or what I thought it would be anyway, coming into the season. So I think Jared Goff has a better game against Dallas. I think he throws for 2 touchdowns. Now, Dak Prescott, I have him throwing for 2 to 3 touchdowns this week. Definite start. I like the matchup even against a really, really tough LA Rams defense. You have Minnesota versus the LA Chargers. Kirk Cousins I have graded as a sit, and then I have the Phillip Rivers graded as a sit as well. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. If Adam Thielen plays, I think Cousins could throw for 2 touchdowns and be kind of one of those fringe starters. If he doesn't play, I have him throwing for 1 touchdown. Phillip Rivers, I only have throwing for 1 touchdown. Next, I have Indianapolis to close out the week. Indianapolis versus New Orleans. I have Jacoby Brissett graded as a sit. I think this New Orleans pass rush is eager to get Jacoby Brissett on the ground. T.Y. Hilton's still questionable at this point, though it looks like he'll play. I like some of the skill players for Indianapolis, not so much Jacoby Brissett. For New Orleans, Drew Brees is a definite start. I don't think he reproduces last week, I should say, but I think he'll get you 2 touchdowns. So there you go. There is my full quarterback play. My quarterback starts and sits for the week. Please, check out some of our other videos. Please like, comment. If you have, you disagree about something, go ahead and comment. Let's talk about it. I'm going to be doing running backs, wide receivers, tight ends as well, so check out one of those videos. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on another episode soon.